Right, welcome to this Tactics and Showcase video. It's for Space Marines and Tactical Squads. So I'm covering not a very popular choice now for Space Marines. A lot of people want Primaris. I'm doing a Primaris army for my Red Scorpion army. But for my Imperial Fists, I'm staying pure Space Marines. No Primaris at all. I'm going to try and make it an army that works well. Difficult, Space Marines not a popular choice at the moment. Tactical Squads, you don't see them too often, but still I'm going to keep the faith with them and we'll see how well they do. I think Tactical Marines are okay. There's a couple of really important things that can enhance them. One major thing I think that can really help Tactical Marines out, but we'll cover that in this video. And then it's a showcase as well, so I'm going to zoom in, we'll take a look at some of these models. I've painted mine up as Imperial Fists, the 5th Company, so we'll zoom in and take a look at them here in this video as well. I've got 30 of them. I've literally just finished rebasing them from the old smaller bases to the new 32mm bases here, so it's taken me a while. I'll cover that here in this video as well, how I did the rebasing. That didn't take too long actually. A little trick that you can do if you're going to change your basing around. So I'm going to zoom in first of all, take a look at some of the models, and then I'll organise them here into their squads. So first one here, it's the las cannon option. So tactical squad. So immediately they have a tactical use. That should be your aim. The tactical squad's not going to be your elite unit. It's going to wipe the opponent out or blow them away with superior firepower. But it's a tactical use for these. So bear that in mind. Don't expect too much from tactical squads, is what I'd say, otherwise you will be disappointed if you put too much weight in them. I've seen people try to use tactical squads and to try and make them killer units and to heavily equip them, and you end up spending a lot of points and often people are disappointed. So I don't expect too much from my tactical Marines, and then I plan to just have good strong units of them, and the aim is to make them as durable as possible just to see the game through to the end. That's the idea of them. That's the las cannon. Then you got regular Marines here. If you like the way these Imperial Fists have come out, check out the tutorial. It's on YouTube here, how to paint Imperial Fists, and I show you from start to finish. Cover the basing, the weathering, how to do the transfers. A bit tricky on the shoulder pad there. Transfers, by the way, are from the Forge World transfer sheet. I highly recommend that. Superior transfer sheet, really, really good, and they give you larger Imperial Fist logos for things like the banners and for the vehicles and so on. So I'd heartily recommend that transfer sheet from Forge World. I'll show you some of the sergeants that are quite cool. Love the studded shoulder pad. And I did chevrons here on the chainsword. Very happy with that. See if I can find the other sergeants. There's that one. Again, really do like the chevrons. Here's the other one here. There's that one. Just a chance to zoom in and take a look at these. There he is. Then on the Plus channel there is the in-depth painting tutorial. I'll show you how to paint one of the rhinos for the Imperial Fist. Same process, same technique, but it's a bigger project and a bit trickier. I'll show you how to do the weathering, the soot effect, transfers again, lettering and so on the back of the vehicle. Those kind of details all covered in the in-depth painting tutorial. So I said I'd talk about the basing. So these came on the smaller base originally, just the old style. So then I simply took some clippers on the old base and just cut the rim away. So I just cut and took the rim away, so you just had the flat part of the base left, which I cleaned the bottom of, and I simply cement glue, plastic glue underneath the old base, and then just stuck it onto the new one. So then you had them all stuck on, and then simply used PVA and repaired the base around the edge. Not the whole thing, because you still had the old original basing still in the middle, but just the edge here to blend it in. Sometimes it took a couple of layers just to merge it all nicely, and then when that was dry, entirely dry, I used tissue, wrapped it around the model, especially around the feet very carefully, all the way around, making sure all the model was covered and all the feet were covered. I then took my original grey spray, it's called Stealth, it's by Montana Gold, or whatever spray you're going to use, and then just with that entirely covered up, just sprayed all the way around. The priority was just to get the rim covered, and then took the tissue away and then placed it down, let it dry. And once it was dry, went around with some watered down dark grey, and any areas of sand that I hadn't covered with the spray, there'd be a few areas, I just shaded them in, and then just re-highlighted and flopped the base. And you'd never know, the old basing is actually still on there, but it's all been blended in. And it saved loads of time. I just clipped the edges off, tidied it up, and then stuck it onto the next base. And that moment I got into a production line with all 30 of them. That didn't take too long at all, and I only have had to rebase half of it. I didn't need to. The great thing about it is I didn't need to cut the feet off, re-stick the model down. It was just simply a case of clipping the rim away on the old base, sticking it down to the new 32mm, and then doing the repairs and painting them up, and really happy with the results. That's the same process I did for my Blood Angels, rebasing them. The Sanguinary Guard, for example, putting those onto the bigger bases, exactly the same process, and it's worked really, really well. So that's just how I went about doing that. You'd never know. That's actually two bases merged into one. And it means the feet are a millimetre or two taller. So my Marines are actually taller than James's by about a millimetre. I think, because I don't think he did the same rebasing as me. Maybe he did, but mine's got just that little layer of plastic, so mine's just slightly taller than his ones. So I'll show you a few more Marines here. Yes, and something else I did, very, very cool. I've done enough of these ones here to virtually do a whole squad. This pattern Marine. Love this pattern Marine, it's so cool. And I think I've done enough of them. Like that pose there, that guy, really like that one. The studded pad and the helmet there. I'm not sure, I can't remember what mark armour that is. But always love the pointy nose version. And so I wanted to make sure I got enough to do like a whole squad of them. There's another one there. And there's others in amongst the collection as well. But I've always loved that combination for those ones. And often I'll have those all sort of in the same squad. There's another good one there. So there they are. We'll zoom out now and then just show you. There's a plasma gun. The glowing blue. That's that one there. I did a transfer just here. Dotted some purity seals all over these as well, just to make them a bit more seasoned. And a fair bit of weathering on these as well. Yeah, just to make them a bit battle worn and out on campaign. But we'll zoom out here and take a look at the rules. So I did say I would organise these. The downfall of the tactical squads, or the regular Space Marines, how they've fallen out of favour is it's a sad thing, but partly, maybe again, something to talk about in the comments section, what exactly has gone wrong for Space Marines. I think partly to blame is the introduction of the way they changed AP values. So like AP -1 just really messes Space Marines up. It turns them from 3 up armor save and immediately they drop down to 4 up armor save. So any of the minuses on the AP just messes up their power armor pretty bad. So I think that affected Space Marines a lot. Before then, Space Marines got their full armor save unless the opponent had AP 3, 2 or 1 weapons, so heavy caliber weapons. But if it was AP 4, like a heavy bolter, Space Marine got their full armor save. So that's made I think that's made a big difference for Space Marines. It just makes their armor's easier to knock down, and I think that's been the problem for them. So I think that's been one of the things. And also the arms race as well. There's a lot of units out there that have decent firepower. Now other units have been enhanced, and the sort of Space Marines have been left behind a fair bit. So that's affected them as well. So not as popular. And the bolters, Games Workshop have done something to improve that with the new beta rules for bolters, but still the bolters, there's no minus on the AP, which I think it should have. It's meant to be like a deadly explosive bolt, but it's pretty tame really. so the bolter's just not that great either. Better on the Primaris with the AP-1 and the really good range, but for regular bolters from Marines it's not that potent. Like the pulse rifle's better, for example, or even the galvanic rifle for the Skitari is better, so just a bit lacking really. But anyway, I'm going to keep the faith of these. Beta rules are in. If it means that if these remain stationary, if they move they don't get it, but if they remain stationary their bolters can fire at full effect at over 12 inches, so you know 2 shots each at all the way up to range 24 if you remain stationary. So I do plan to use my tactical squads quite defensively and have them form like a gun line like you see here, so that will fit in really well, standing still and getting the extra shots. So doubly effective now at longer range, which is great. So I think I won't be disappointed with them. If I don't expect too much, I'm not expecting these to go ahead and win games and delete whole units and so on. So I don't have those kind of expectations, and I don't think I'm going to be disappointed. Just looking for them to be a resilient part of the army that's going to take a lot of effort to try and destroy. So that's why I've gone for squads of 10. There's 10 wounds there, and the opponent's got to try and chew through those 10 wounds to try and wipe out the squad. And the other layer of resilience I add is to take rhinos for them. So now you've got 20 wounds now for the opponent to try and get through. So rhinos and rhinos. The firepower's just been boosted up, you know, 8 Stormbolter shots, now double Stormbolter on here with the beta rolls, 8 shots, 8 shots and 8 shots. So another 24 shots coming from there. Now all of a sudden you're looking at a lot of small arms firepower coming through. So definitely having the rhinos, and that adds another layer of protection, speeds these up. It means that the tactical squads can move around a lot quicker. You can move around the table nice and fast and well protected. So that's a great way to use the tactical squads for sure. But 10-man squads, so just more effort. A lot of people take smaller, people have gone for smaller squads, but they become very insignificant, and I just want to have full squads of 10 here. And you can equip them out pretty good for pretty cheap now. So standard Marine, weapon skill and ballistic skill 3+, strength 4, toughness 4, just the 1 attack, 3 up armor save. There's nothing wrong with that stat line at all. What I want to just cover is points. So the 13 points time. So your squad of 10 is 130 points, which is pretty cheap. But they just got bolters. So in the tactical squad, you can equip your sergeant. I haven't really bothered. I've just gone for bolt pistol and chainsword because your sergeant just has 2 attacks. So I think it's a waste giving him power fists. Barely even worth giving him a power sword. So I just go pistol and chainsword and spend the points, or give those more elite weapons to units that have more attacks and so on. So not expecting anything from my sergeants, and so not going to bother with any close combat. It's just a waste of points. You know, 2 attacks is very poor. I think it's really worth paying points to give a model with 2 attacks anything really. Power sword barely, just about doing. We've already talked about the bolt gun. They're all armed with bolt pistols. Remember that for close combat. Actually armed with the pistols as well. And then frag and crack grenades available for them also. If unit contains less than 10 models, one Space Marine may replace his bolt gun with the special weapons or heavy weapons. So you can go for little squads of 5 and still give them a heavy weapon if you wish. So yeah, the tactical squad, it's very versatile. There's a whole host of different weapons you could go for here. So you can go for special weapons. You've got the flamer. It depends on what you want from your tactical squads. So you sort of ask yourself, what do I need my tactical squads to do, or what's lacking in my army? This is the bulk of my army. They're going to bulk the army out, and for me, playing Imperial Fists, I want these to dish out some anti-tank, and then a load of medium-ranged firepower to deal with hordes and so on. So the cheaper stuff, the infantry and so on, that are heading towards my army, I want my tactical squads to hose them down with gunfire, and that should work really well now with the beta rules. And then I want a bit of sting to them to take on heavier targets as well. So you can see I've put las cannons in here to deliver a bit of anti-tank capability as well. So that's my combination, but there's a whole host of combinations you go for depending on what you want them to do. So you equip them depending on the job that needs to be done. James, with his tactical squads, he's magnetised virtually everything. It means he can swap weapon loadouts and adapt his army very well. It's a fair bit of effort, but it's worked out well for him. He can try out different things. So flamers, you've got grav guns, melter guns. That means you need to get quite close to the heavier target to use those. And plasma gun. I've gone for plasma, so they can pick off wounds on an armoured target, no problem. And then you can take out heavy infantry nicely as well. That's strength 7, A -3 is pretty good. So that's what I've gone for there. Plasma gun being plasma gun. Yeah, it's cheaper now. 11 points. It's a cheap option to take. I think so. So plasma gun I've gone for there. Cheaper than the melter. Melter's come down. It's 14 points now as well. Then melter gun's pretty nasty for your anti-tank ability as well. So melter gun's a decent option. Just the range. So range 12. Got to bear that in mind. Plasma gun I'm running at range 24. So it'll match the bolters nicely. I can just hit out at sort of a medium range. I don't want stuff getting too close to these. Once they get locked down in close combat, they're not going to be that effective. So I want them. Don't really want them armed with very short range weaponry. Flamers, not really. Got to get close to use those. Melters, got to get close. So I've gone for more medium and long range weapons. So range 24 upwards for their firepower. So then your heavy weapons: grav cannon, grav amp. Heavy bolter, that's a cheaper option if you want to just kick out sort of anti-hordes. The las cannon, which I've gone for a bit of anti-tank. The missile launcher you can use for both. A bit of anti-tank punch, not quite enough, just not strong enough. That one, because it's strength 8 as opposed to strength 9 with the las cannon, which means you're virtually wounding everything on a 3+, vehicle-wise, and monsters and so on. And then the multi-melter, it's okay, but the range is tamer. It's range 24, and you often find yourself out of range of targets that are sitting deeper in the opponent's deployment zone. So I'm more keen on the las cannon. It's twice the range. It's range 48, so for range it's fantastic. And the plasma cannon, again, not keen on that because of the range 24, and don't want to find myself out of range. I want to be able to start immediately firing with my las cannons. So that's why I've gone for las cannons. The other great thing about the size of the squads is if I keep them, the mentality is to go for small squads or to immediately split them down. But if I keep the faith and stay at 10 and try and think of the long-term picture in mind, seeing the game out to turn 5, 6 and 7, I want these to absorb damage but still keep the main assets, the plasma gun and the las cannon, alive. So the more bodies in the squad that are able to be removed as casualties but still protecting the las cannon, the better. Little 5-man squads are easy to take out, but a 10-man tactical squad, it's going to take a fair bit of effort. If I can keep these las cannons alive to the end of the game, it'll help, because each turn I can fire them, it will just stack up and become more and more valuable as time goes on. But if these are wiped out turn 1, turn 2, I've lost the investment early on. So at the expense of these marines here being picked off, casualties coming in, it's going to take a fair bit of effort to ultimately try and get through to the las cannon guy. So it does revolve around him. You could still be tactically flexible. Trick that James does a fair bit, and that's, I don't know what the official term is, but we call it Congo lining. You can keep this model stationary, but you can move other models in the squad if you need to, as long as you maintain coherency. So they could all move forwards, or they could all pull back, keeping him still, and then he can because that models remain stationary, he can still fire his normal ballistic skill. Not everyone's aware of that trick, but it means there's still that tactical flexibility, but you'll be able to still keep him stationary just so you can fire without that -1. But even if you do move, force to hit isn't bad. It's okay, it's half a chance, so it's not the end of the world if you do have to move with a heavy weapon. It's not usually the done thing, but it's still half a chance of getting you hit. But a little bit of tactical flexibility there. So the depth of the squad, 10-man squad, I think it helps just to protect the las cannons, and that ability to still move and keep the las cannons stationary is a great tactical thing as well. So, you know, because there's not 4 las cannons in this squad, it's not really effective with 1 or 2 turns of shooting. But if I have like 6 turns of that firing, and then I have all 3 of these with 6 turns of shooting, that's a lot of las cannon shots, and that's going to cause a lot of damage. Yeah, a las cannon shot here and there, not very dangerous. When you start stacking it up, and it's 1 turn after the next, and the idea is that the opponent, you know, gradually starts causing casualties here, but struggling to get through to the las cannons, and I can just keep going. There's a few more turns pass, more casualties come in, but the assets still remain alive. This is sort of the idea I've got for these, and so the bigger squads to be able to absorb the damage is the key for them. I did say there's one really important bit of tactica for these to try and keep them alive, and that is to get them into cover. It's a massive help. If you get Space Marines into cover, their armor save is going to go up by 1. So they're going to go from a 3-up save to 2-up save. And if these are all in cover inside ruins or craters, whatever it is, Space Marines with a 2-up armor save, you can fire las guns, bolters at them, and they're just going to ignore loads of shots come through. All of a sudden just become Terminators just by putting them into terrain. So try and make good use of terrain that will give you a cover save bonus. And it means if something comes through at AP -1, you're still going to get a 3-up save. AP -2, which is usually really bad, still going to get half a chance of keeping the Marine alive. So try and make use of cover, and if you're not in cover, I then say try and make use of your transport vehicle to add that layer of protection as well. Yeah, mine aren't fully optimized here. I just want that las cannon, that's the priority, and then bolters the rest of the way. A bit of plasma in there, 1, 2, 3 of those. Again, on its own, not that great, but 1 buried in each squad, that's 3 of them. And buried in amongst a load of Marines here, which means the opponent's got a lot to chew through to try and get through to the plasma gun as well. So that's the idea of the plasma gun. We also need to mention here, if the unit contains 10 models, 1 Space Marine replaces bulk gun with an item from the special weapons list, and 1 other Space Marine may replace the bulk with an item from the heavy weapons list. So instead of a special weapon or a heavy, you can then take 1 from each. That's exactly what I've done here. 1 plasma and 1 regular Space Marine with the heavy weapon. Yes, you can then... the Sergeant here. Yeah, I missed that. What you can do with the Sergeant is take... It's here. Yeah. So Sergeant, you can go bolt pistol, chainsaw, that's what I have. Grav pistol, plasma pistol, lightning claw, power axe, power fist, power maul, power sword, thunder hammer. I don't think it's worth any of those really, because there's only 2 attacks here. But what you can take is Combi Flamer, Combi Melter, Combi Plasma, and Storm Bolter. That's pretty useful, is to then give the Sergeant a combi weapon. Yeah, even a Storm Bolter would be useful enough. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, Storm Bolter would be a great option to have 2 points, and instead of the piddly little pistol, he's going to be kicking out 2 shots, or if he remains stationary, 4 shots. That's a cheap way of booster, a mega boost for your squad. Huge boost. Take a Storm Bolter. Yeah, because it's up to 2 weapons can be chosen from this list. That's all your combat stuff. You can take chainsword, and then 1 weapon can be chosen from the following list. So that's your combi weapons: Storm Bolter or bolt gun. Yeah. So you had half tempted there to... I don't think I have the points for my finalised list, but Sergeants with Storm Bolters, pretty good idea. Or if I want to boost my anti-armor ability, then I could go for the Combi Plasma, which is 11 points, same cost as a regular plasma gun, which it can be fired as just a regular plasma. If you choose that in the profile, but it means you're sort of doubling the effectiveness. And again, same principle. You're burying him, making good use of the sergeant there, and you're burying him in amongst a load of regular marines. They're just 13 points a time. It's not the end of the world if you start losing those, but you're trying to protect the other assets. That's my philosophy here behind taking these bigger squads, and I'm sort of trying to keep the end turns in view. So a bit bulky at the start of the game, but as casualties come in, but they survive on. The squads just cling on, and they're able to see through to the end of the game. That's the idea, sort of try and build them to last right towards the end of the battle. The other great thing about tactical squads is they are troops. So like for my Imperial Fist list, I've got 30 troops here, so great for securing objectives, and your opponent could have a unit of 20 models in an elite unit, but I could have one model from a troops choice, and they will count as holding the objectives. So, again, tactical squad, the tactical use for them as far as holding and grabbing objectives is concerned. So I know this configuration is not the best that I could do, but it's decent enough. If the opponent decides to ignore these, there's a las cannon going to be let loose from each squad each turn, just grinding away. And if the opponent does decide, and a plasma gun, if the opponent then does decide, right, I need to get rid of these las cannons, there's a lot of work to try and chew through all of this lot. Because the last model that's going to be removed from each squad is there. But to wipe all 3 of those out, the opponent's got to get through 27 wounds. Probably in cover or inside rhinos, so you can see sort of the idea here. So that's what I'd say. Tactical squads, very good stuff inside. Don't overspend though. I wouldn't load out and go over the top. And if you keep the points down, you've got a decent enough unit, nice and durable, but not the end of the world if they are wiped out and destroyed. You've spent points on other elites units to be the killer units in your army, and these are just sort of your objective holding bulk of your army. So that's the ideas for tactical squads. Not really going to roll up any dice here. It's just sort of standard infantryman here. Check out the comment section below. By all means, if you're an experienced Space Marine player and you've stuck with tactical squads and you have a use for them, then leave that in the comment section. And then for those of you watching and want to learn more tactics and so on, check out the comment section, see what others have said. Is there anyone out there that still plays tactical squads, even sort of a competitive level, and how successful are you with them? What's the best loadout sizes, tactics for them, transportation and uses for your tactical marines? But keep a lookout for future battle reports and watch these closely, see how well they do, and watch me try and use them in that sort of tactical way. I'm not going to expect too much from these, just want them to sit there and survive, chuck out the firepower, and then see the game through to the end. That's the plan with these tactical marines. Hopefully they'll be able to do that and justify their inclusion in my Imperial Fist list. But there it is, that's the tactics and showcase video for the tactical Space Marines or tactical squads. So there it is, thanks for watching and tune in next time.